Episode 90. Han Li found himself at a loss for words.
Old Man Shu really never misses a chance to get the better of someone.
Han Li pointed at the various sized cauldrons and furnaces on the other party's shelves and said,
Are these the pill furnaces?
Of course not. Those are just common goods, only fit for brewing low-grade pills. How could they possibly withstand the searing heat of the earth fire? The real top-quality cauldrons are all right here.
The old man slipped right back into his huckster persona and gave the unremarkable gray pouch at his waist a pat. He took off the pouch and gave it a light tap on the empty ground beside him. With a flash of cyan light, a row of ancient-looking, peculiarly styled alchemy cauldrons materialized on the earth.
Well, what do you think? These are all top-grade pill furnaces from my personal collection. Every single one is a masterpiece, far from ordinary goods.
The old man picked up the nearest cauldron and gave it a light tap.
Indeed, they're quite good.
As soon as these cauldrons appeared, Han Li could sense the faint threads of spiritual qi emanating from them. But what truly caught his attention was the other party's unassuming cloth pouch. This was definitely a high-grade storage pouch, one with a capacity 10 times greater than normal. Otherwise, it couldn't possibly have held so many bulky items.
Well, now, it's not that I'm bragging, but I, Shu, am a master craftsman of cauldron-type magic tools. Most of the cauldrons used by the disciples in this region, well, they come from my hands. And these are the absolute finest of the finest.
Han Li gave a slight smile and offered no rebuttal. He walked slowly over to the cauldrons, bent down, and began to make his selection.
This is the Rahu cauldron. It can absorb intense flame heat, which boosts the pill's success rate, and it can also...
Every time Han Li picked up a furnace to examine, this old Shu would launch into a non-stop torrent of praise right beside him, practically declaring each one a rare treasure from the heavens and unmatched on earth, as if not buying it immediately would be a crime against nature. It left Han Li not knowing whether to laugh or cry.
This one.
Han Li inspected each cauldron, then paused in thought for a moment before pointing at the smallest silver one and saying,
My young friend, you have an excellent eye. This silver thread cauldron is an absolute masterpiece among alchemy furnaces, a truly rare and superior grade magic tool. Among all the top-tier cauldrons in my collection, this one stands head and shoulders above the rest.
Seeing Han Li pick the smallest item, old Shu was slightly taken aback, but his expression quickly returned to normal. He proceeded to praise the silver cauldron to the skies, showering it with compliments.
What does that have to do with my judgment? I just considered that my storage space is limited. This cauldron was the only thing that would fit.
After some haggling with the old man, Han Li bought the item for 32 low-grade spirit stones, then left the place without a second thought.
In that short time dealing with Old Man Shu, I spent over 50 spirit stones. Even with my substantial savings, that stings. Best to get out of here sooner rather than later.
After leaving Elder Shu's room, Han Li returned to the hall with the teleportation array. He didn't activate it immediately, though. Instead, he paused for a moment in thought, then headed down the unmarked passageway. At the end of the passage, a massive stone door appeared, blocking his path.
The door is covered in flowing, multicolored light. That's a powerful restriction spell if I've ever seen one. I'd better not go in.
Next to the stone door was a small stone hut. Inside sat a pockmarked, ugly man.
This ugly brute has only reached the peak of the foundational technique, yet he puts on such an arrogant, dismissive air with me. It's infuriating.
Who was Han Li? Though inwardly disgusted, his expression remained perfectly unruffled. Even though he only got one reluctant answer for every 3 questions he asked, Han Li still managed to get a clear picture of the local situation, leaving him well informed.
Thank you, senior brother.
Han Li seemed unperturbed by the man's rudeness. He politely took his leave and departed. But before he had taken more than a few steps, he heard the ugly man's muttering voice.
A pauper from the low-level disciples trying to learn alchemy like the others. Have you fried your brain? All talk and no action. What a waste of my breath.
Han Li's posture didn't change at all upon hearing the other's words, but his face, turned away from the ugly man, was as cold as a winter frost, and a flash of killing intent passed through his eyes. After leaving Moondew Hall and bidding farewell to the two men in red, Han Li flew off toward the 100-herb garden on his magic tool. High in the air, Han Li's thoughts were on the Foundation establishment pill. His gaze drifted down, sweeping over the rolling hills below with detached indifference. Suddenly, a thunderous roar erupted from below, startling him. He focused his gaze and looked down. On a small hill below, flashes of lightning and thunderclaps were striking, accompanied by the faint but unmistakable sound of a cheering crowd. Han Li's interest was thoroughly piqued. Without a second thought, he descended, bringing his magic tool down to land. He landed near the source of the commotion, and then moved closer on his own.
Brother Murong, give us another one. Let's see it again.
Come on, give us another one.
As Han Li reached the mountaintop, the clamor of voices ahead reached his ears. The mention of the Murong brothers sent a jolt through him.
Realizing the two genius brothers with thunder spirit roots who just entered, aren't they surnamed Murong? And with that loud noise earlier, could it really be those two famous brothers showing off their skills?
He could now see about 30 to 40 disciples with sharp, bright eyes gathered on the mountaintop. They had formed a loose circle, pointing excitedly at the two 11 or 12-year-old boys in the center and chattering away.
Do another one. Another one.
Several charred craters pockmarked the ground, their edges melted from intense heat, still wisping with faint, pale smoke. A faint breeze stirred, carrying the pervasive, acrid scent of scorched earth everywhere. Seeing this, Han Li hurried over and began to scrutinize the youths. The two boys were both fair-skinned and handsome, with delicate features that made them look remarkably alike. In the blink of an eye, their gaze grew sharp and lively, a picture of mischievous cleverness. Flushed with pride from the onlookers' admiring gazes and praise, the two of them exchanged a glance, then simultaneously began to form hand seals and chant incantations. Electricity crackled in their hands, then two slender bolts of lightning shot out, striking the nearby ground. 2 more craters appeared, accompanied by a blinding flash of white light.
This is the Thunder Attribute Palm Lightning technique. In terms of both raw power and immediate effect, it far surpasses other spells of the same level like Fireball or Ice Spike. It truly lives up to its reputation as the most destructive of all elemental spells.
Han Li couldn't help but marvel inwardly, his heart filled with admiration for the brothers' spirit root attributes. Clearly, Han Li wasn't the only one feeling this way. Most of the other disciples watching also looked at the brothers with envy and admired. They couldn't help but resent their own luck, wondering why the heavens hadn't blessed them with such an enviable, top-tier spirit root. The two brothers, spurred on by the cheers of the onlookers, unleashed their lightning strike technique a few more times. After that, though, they started to flag a bit. They were just too young, after all.
Ha, what's the big deal? The power of a thunder spirit root is nothing special. I'd say it's not even as good as my wind spirit root.
Just then, a rather jarring male voice rang out from the crowd opposite Han Li, and everyone around couldn't help but turn to look. Standing side by side was a young man and woman. He was handsome and tall, while she was as beautiful as a flower. Clearly a couple deeply in love. As for the man, he wore an expression of pure arrogance, as if he held the Murong brothers' palm thunder in complete contempt. Meanwhile, the young woman, under the collective gaze of so many, blushed faintly, her shyness only enhancing her delicate beauty. The young man's arrival set off a wave of hushed whispers and murmured conversations among the nearby crowd. It seems he's not exactly Mr. Popular.
Little brats. I'll show you what a real mutated spirit root looks like.
The young man's expression darkened at the crowd's chatter. He strode several paces into the center of the ring.
Go ahead, use all the lightning spells you want. If I so much as dodge, I'll kowtow and beg your pardon, you little brats.
Young Murong's face paled with anger at this senior brother Lu's unwarranted arrogance and contempt.
You're not going to dodge?
Of course.
And no magic tools either.
Agreed.
Well, those two are true brothers, aren't they? With just one line each, they've locked down the rules in their favor. As for the young man, he didn't even deign to look at the brothers, and he had no objections whatsoever to their terms.
All right then. We brothers will see what you've got, senior brother.
Senior brother Lu, are you sure this is okay?
What's there to worry about? Dealing with a couple of kids. Don't you worry about a thing, junior sister Chen.
The young man gave a dismissive wave, then swaggered over to stand directly opposite the Murong brothers. The Murong brothers exchanged a glance, then moved close together. Each extended one hand to clasp the other's, while pointing their free hands toward the sky. In unison, they began to chant identical incantations. The young man sneered at the sight. With a casual gesture, he cast a defensive spell upon himself. A cyan barrier instantly materialized around him, encasing him securely within.
Chain lightning strike.
The Murong brothers finally finished their incantation. Then, they pointed a finger toward the young man's head, and a cloud of black mist, roughly 10 feet across, instantly materialized in the sky above him. A flash of white light erupted from the cloud, and a bolt of lightning, thick as a finger, lanced down. It struck the cyan barrier, making the protective shield tremble violently.
The lightning is this powerful?
But that first strike was only the beginning. From the dark cloud hanging in the air, crackling bolts of identical lightning rained down one after another. They hammered the protective shield, making it flicker and dim, teetering on the very brink of shattering. The young man's expression darkened. His hands flew into a dizzyingly complex series of hand seals. The young man pressed his hands firmly against the barrier's glowing wall. The light shield suddenly flared with a brilliant cyan radiance, not only restoring itself to its original state, but appearing even more solid and dense than before. The Murong brothers, of course, had no intention of relinquishing their hard-won advantage. They too sent a flurry of hand seals skyward, causing the black cloud to swell and expand until its diameter stretched several zhang wide. The lightning bolts that rained down grew thicker and fell with relentless frequency.
Faced with the brothers' fierce assault, senior brother Lu was both shocked and enraged, caught completely off guard.
I never imagined they'd mastered the low to mid-grade chain lightning technique at such a young age. I was pinned down, unable to break free, and right in front of all these people, I took a massive hit.
And so, on one side, the youth struggled to maintain the dark cloud's relentless lightning strikes, while on the other, the young man desperately cast defensive spells, continuously reinforcing his cyan barrier. This contest had turned into an unexpectedly drawn-out battle of attrition. Logically, when one side attacks and the other defends, the attacker has the advantage. They can conserve a lot more magic power than the defender.
Brother Murong is the one attacking, so he should have knocked senior brother Lu off the stage ages ago. Why are they still going at it?
From what I can see, brother Murong is probably going to lose.
How is that even possible?
You just don't get it. First, they burned through a lot of their magic power in that demonstration. They didn't have much to begin with. Secondly, senior brother Lu is much older, and the purity and depth of his magic power are far beyond what brother Murong, who just entered the sect, can match. So in a battle of attrition, they'd still be at a disadvantage.
Just as the onlookers had predicted, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the dark cloud released its final few bolts of lightning before dissipating completely, leaving the sky clear once more. The two of them, their magic power exhausted, were the first to have their lightning strikes cut short.